As I've created artwork now, as I've gotten older, I try to find subject matter that's really going to not just uplift me, but also uplift my students and my children. Back in the day, probably early 2000s, I did a lot of jazz pieces, and I wanted to convey a feeling of like smooth jazz and have the music feeling like it's actually coming off the canvas, and you can kind of feel the beat and just groove with the music. And now, as I've gotten older with these figures that I'm doing, I want to make sure that they are powerful and they express a feeling of empowerment, and our young people can look at them and say, you know, that looks like me, and I want to be like that person in that piece of artwork. So I want to really motivate them by having them look at them and see that they're beautiful. This is a one of my graphite pieces. I did this around 2015 or so of President Obama, and this is pretty much mostly graphite. There is some white charcoal pencil incorporated as well in his hair, and also some of the little details in his forehead and his face and hands as well, also in the flag. So this was taken. I think I did this one towards the end of his. I took this image towards the end of his second term, and right now, as I look on his face, of he's concerned for the country, and he knows his time is coming to the end in the White House. And you see over from 2007 to 2016, the white hairs have accumulated, and you see he looks a little bit weathered from just being the stress of being the president of the United States and the first African American president as well. But he's paved the way for Vice President Harris, and that's why I wanted to catch him sort of in a moment of kind of almost despair, because he really doesn't know what's coming around the bend. So that's one of my graphite pieces.
Yeah. Okay.
All
Now
right.
your subject matters.
The subject matter. So I pick my subject matter from, I try to live in the moment right now. Like I see what's going on in the country right now, the state of affairs that we're in. And I try to find images that are uplifting. There's so many things that are very negative, and I try to find images of people that give us hope. And so President Obama is definitely one of those people, and others as well. Let me just find another one here, show you an example of that. And I'm going to share again.
You did, while you're looking, you did a wonderful piece of the late great John Lewis.
Yes, yes,
Um,
I'm gonna share that one also. This is a piece I did almost a year ago, March of last year, of great Kobe Bryant, and this was the first of many which I'm doing now, or combining graphite with watercolor. And so I started out by finding different images of Kobe of his 20 years with the Lakers. And you remember he came in around the mid 90s, and he had that big afro. And I tried to incorporate the Laker colors with them as well. And so I knew that I always loved working with graphite, but I said, how do I combine the graphite with the vibrant watercolors and have them work together synchronously? So in some parts, I kind of came together and used right here in his face, graphite and the watercolors together. So I tried to get from him, he was a young man when he got older, and then every number in retirement, he was a winner at getting an Academy Award, and then unfortunately, um, he's no longer with us. But I try to get as many different faces of Kobe as I could find and put them all together.
yeah, can you share with the audience that wonderful piece of John Lewis?
John Lewis, yes, I will share John Lewis. Lewis, Congressman Lewis. Yes, yes, yes. There we go. And
And when I saw the image, Stephen, I was struck by the different faces that you used in putting that piece together. Can you speak to that?
well, I when I looked at the footage, I remember around when his passing, I remember seeing a lot of different images of him, and I remember they said he was the youngest person that spoke on the March on Washington, and I try to find that image from here. You're speaking to the crowd at that young age, And then I wanted to try to push forward to when he was a little bit older. And this time here, I remember when he was doing many different things and try to push for voter rights. I was still a young man, so I really wasn't paying attention at the time as to how impactful he was. And then towards the end, his last like 10 years, he was much more relevant than that. But I really noticed the last like probably 15, 20 years, probably the last 10 years or so. And he really had a chance. I saw there was one image of him standing looking at a Black Lives Matter mural on the street, and he was kind of had his hands folded, sort of like, "Wow, we really come this far." John Lewis, and it's called "Good Trouble: The Journey." So it talks about, if you look in the background, it's not just it's graphite combined with fabric, and also watercolors in the background, and there's also some white and silver marker representing the red, white, and blue of the flag. So if you look in the background, it's not your traditional flag. There the red, white, and blue markings in the background here kind of represent chaos that was going on, and the fight to get to voter rights for everyone was a challenge. Even Mr. Congressman Lewis was even put in jail and beaten. That's why you see the blood dripping right here to go with the red, white, and blue. And though he was all about the country, here's the red, white, and blue. He's draped in that in his suit and his tie. So a true patriot and a fighter for rights for all people. And that is my Good Trouble: The Journey, a tribute to Congressman John Lewis. Again, this is from this past summer, combining watercolors and graphite together. Also using some very fine eraser and depicting of some of the highlights in his face, and also in his forehead and what have you. So pretty much graphite and some other little tools that I might use to help myself out along the way. All right.
I love the images.
Thank you. Thank you.
I have to do some more study and work on the background. The background, to me, to some extent, sort of takes away from the central focus of the images. But I need to focus more on what you're trying to do with the background.
Okay, I understand where you're coming from. The background for me was, I definitely wanted to have the red, white, and blue in the background. And during the time when he was trying to get the rights for everyone to vote, it was during a turbulent time, 60s. So a lot of things were going on there. So that's why the background you'll see is red, white, and blue, but it's not your traditional flag in the background. That's what I was trying to do with the background. That was the impetus behind that. Anyone else about this piece? Anything like any comments or anything else?
Yeah, Steve, I have a question. Beautiful.
Yes.
I like the piece. Steve, the flag in the middle above the central figure's face, what did you painted that? Is that fabric? You said some of that is
this
fabric.
Right here?
Yeah.
This? That's actually paint.
That's paint.
That's paint. That's paint, and then the fabric is right over his head. But this is actually, it's about 2 or 3 different types of fabrics, but this is paint up here. So it's like red, white, and blue, but it's like red, white, and blue and chaos.
Wow. That's the first time I've ever seen you incorporate fabric in your work. That's an interesting development.
So that's something I wanted to try some new things. I always loved doing graphite, and I started incorporating the fabric when I started some oil paintings. But I'd say probably my first thing I've started with as a young man was pencil, and I'm trying to have pencil and push it in a little different direction, combining other things with it.
I had a question of you, Stephen, and it had to do with the images that you tend to want to produce, and where do you get your inspiration from?
Oh, I started before. My inspiration comes from wanting to do images that uplift our people. Being an educator, a teacher of high school students, and a father of 12-year-old triplets, when I create pieces now, I kind of look at it. What would the children look at it from their vantage point, from their eyes? How are they going to view that piece? Is it going to be something that's not only tells something about our history at that point in time, but also is it going to be something that's going to uplift them and make them feel like, wow, I'm proud to be Black. I'm proud to be a person of color. So that goes into it as well. That's definitely a heavy part of what I choose to do as far as my images are concerned.
You know, I once read that art is not always about pretty things, that it's about who we are and the sense of what happened to us and how our lives are affected. Do you try to make that a part of your work?
Yes, matter of fact, can we see this image here? The new image I put up?
Yeah, if you want, yeah, you can share that.
You can see this right here. It's it's a different image now. It's a vertical image of 3 pieces of board nailed together with Black men on there and red, white, and blue flags.
We're still seeing John Lewis.
You still see
Okay,
John Lewis.
stop sharing. I'm gonna stop sharing and then come back. Thank you for letting me know that. Okay. I'm gonna share a new image. Okay, we can see the new image.
Yes, that's the ones where you take the boards and you kind of juxtaposition them and you kind of put them together. Is that accurate? Yes.
Yes, exactly. This one, I don't know about it not being aesthetically pleasing, but this right here was about our young people. The piece is entitled "In the Fabric," so it talks about what's our place as African American people in the fabric of the flag of the United States of America, the red, white, and blue. What's our place? And the reason behind this piece is, even though it's red, white, and blue, you see some parts of it, you see a reddish orange. You might see a sky blue. And then also you see some red, black, and green going back to our African roots. So speaking to my students today, even though we are here in America, we shouldn't lose our African roots, our Guyanese roots, our Jamaican roots, our Nigerian roots, our roots from Togo, all the places we're from. We still need to keep and hold on to those traditions, even though we are in the United States and we are part of the red, white, and blue. Because what I really feel deeply is that you can't have red, white, and blue without different colors of brown. So our history is not just Black history. Our history is American history, and that's the reason behind this piece. And in here, you'll find the fabric. Inside the fabric, also some collaging going on. Shout out to my man Mansa. And I have some people that I grew up listening to, artists, some athletes I looked up to, and people that I studied in history on my own. You see some of the founders of the Black Panthers in there. Every day, remember every Saturday, seeing Soul Train, and seeing oh my gosh, I'm forgetting his name. Oh my gosh.
Don Cornelius?
Don Cornelius. Yes, I'm sorry, Don Cornelius. Thank you. Thanks for the assist. Don Cornelius is in there. And we'll see Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in there, Richard Pryor, Eddie Murphy. So a lot of people I grew up listening to and watching on TV and reading about. And Spike Lee is in there. So they're all here and they're all part of the fabric of our country. And our contributions are for the entire country, not just for Black America. And people need to understand and recognize we are that important.
Now, the title of this show is called Mahogany Heroes, and that theme, to me, has a certain richness culturally. And when we talked about doing this show, I asked you for that theme, and that's the theme you came up with. Can you speak to that?
Yes. Let me just get this right. This is actually the first of the mahogany. There's 2 pieces I have called Mahogany Fire. I'm going to share that with you. Okay. Let me make this a little bit larger. So it's actually Mahogany Superheroes. So the reason behind that is when I think about the color mahogany, and the wood mahogany is a very strong wood, is a reddish brown, very rich. And we as a people, our color, our skin tone is like an earth tone color. You'll find beautiful Black people that are dark skinned, that are light skinned, that are beige, caramel, mocha, all different shades. We run the gamut. Matter of fact, my wife and I have 12-year-old triplets. She's very fair skinned. I'm brown skinned. Our children are, you'd never know if you didn't know us, you'd be like, wow, where those 3 kids come from? Because we have a brown child, we have a child that looks like he could be Latino, another child that looks like he could he could possibly pass for Caucasian. So we've been blessed with like a spectrum of colors for our own children. And the Mahogany Superheroes are we are people of rich brown color, and we're also are what we can do. We are superheroes. We can be activists. We could be athletes. We could be entrepreneurs. We could be scientists, doctors, and we hold our heads high because we can do all of these things and more.
Now, let me ask you this question. Everybody in that's artists, they all have some inspirational people that they look up to, or I'm not trying to say that you may want to copy, so to speak, but who are some of the artists that appeal to you that may be reflective in some of the works that you have been producing over these many years?
Oh my goodness, I've always loved Charles White, who very expert with the pencil and also and even with paint as well. But his work is just powerful, and I always show him in school in my classes videos of him, especially now remote learning. Excuse me. He also was a teacher, and I kind of really feel akin to him because as a teacher, teaching artist, and his son speaking about him. I actually met his son at a show in Morristown, and I've always looked up to him and thought he was a tremendous artist. Charles White, Romare Bearden, of course, and I love his collaging. I have a few Romare Bearden posters in my classroom, and students are always drawn to those. Of course, Jacob Lawrence, um, Kerry James Marshall, and also like Kara Walker. My friend, that's a tremendous artist, is Bisa Butler, who is one of the world renowned quilters. She is also one of my favorites, and I was blessed to go to high school with her. I was a senior, she was a freshman, and she is a tremendous quilter. I really love her work. And there are many others, but those are the ones that kind of really jump out at me initially.
Yeah, talking about Bisa Butler, she's really, really taken off these days. I tell you,
Yes.
her work is fantastic.
Yes, it is.
Now you
And
say
I'm sorry, go ahead.
now
Also,
you say
if I may mention, one person who's on this call, and I'm going to have her come next month to my school is Martrice Roach. She is a pastel artist, and of course she's shown at Moody Jones as well. So I told the kids, you have a treat. We have a amazing pastel artist coming to do a Zoom call with us. So I'm looking forward to her work as well. So just meeting new people last couple of years, I've really am blessed to have even more artists that I enjoy their work.
you mentioned that you teach.
Yes.
How long have you been teaching?
Oh, it's my 26th year, and it's been probably the most challenging year, of course, with the remote learning, because I'm a dinosaur, so I'm more used to being in front of the class. You put me in front of 35 kids with some paper and some paint or whatever, and I could figure out something to do with them. But this whole computer thing really wasn't my thing. But I really had to ask for help, which is not easy for me. I'm kind of hard headed when it comes to asking for help, but with the computer, I had no choice. So trying to figure out how to teach effectively doing remote learning has been a challenge, but I think I'm doing well with it. As a matter of fact, we had parent teacher night last week, and I had one student who came there with his grandmother, and I asked, "Do you have any questions for me?" And he actually said, "I just wanted to let you know, Mr. Ellis, that you're my favorite teacher." And that really, that made my day because, you don't know sometimes if they're listening. Are they paying attention to what you're saying? Are you saying something that's impactful? Are they enjoying the assignments that they're given? So, yeah, teaching is a joy, and I'm privileged to do it.
Now, I'm gonna ask you. It's a two-part question, and it speaks to the casual observer of art and a collector.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a casual observer. I'm walking into a gallery or into some museum, and your work is there. What will make me say, you know what, I would like to get a piece of his work in my collection?
Oh, well, let me see. Let me share another piece. I would say before I share the piece, what would make you want to get a piece? Because my work, I feel I'm very unique with even how I do paint or how I do pencil pieces, and I try to make my figures and my work very strong. I'm very I'm a little heavy-handed. I'll be honest. I own that, but I think that's one of my strong suits. I'm very bold with my colors, my choice selection. I'm very bold with my graphite. I've been moving in towards darker images and making my images look even darker, even more Afrocentric features. You know, I'm moving towards making people with larger lips, more larger nostrils. And I really want to make my figures look, you know, African and very much very much African American. So you can't even mistake that. So I try to make my figures, they're me, and I'm very bold in my color selection. I want my pieces to jump out at you. I want the colors to pop. And when they look at my work, they'll say, wow, that's really a bold piece. That's a strong piece. It speaks to me. And the figures are very dramatic. So hopefully that will entice people to purchasing my work.
So let me take the question to another level. You know, we have our gallery space here in Glenside, and people come in and will say sometimes, is this a African American gallery, or do you show other types of work? What's your feeling about that? I mean, have you been pigeonholed as a certain type of artist?
Um, I don't believe so. I have, let me just get this other piece here. I don't believe I've been pigeonholed into being a certain type of artist. I have people I know that give me that likes. I people that went to high school with that are African American, Caucasian, Latino. I have all different people that like my work. So hopefully, it's about they see something that speaks to them. It's not a matter of if is he African American, you know, what nationality is he. They just see the work and they like it, and that's I'm hoping that's what people see. And I like doing African American people. That's my theme, and you know, I have a lot of people that like my work from all different ethnic backgrounds.
That's good to hear, because I know a few of your pieces that we sold here at the gallery were bought by a white fellow, a friend of mine,
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why he bought them is because he likes the cultural significance of the work.
Mm.
And do you find that uh, the white, I shouldn't say whites, but Caucasians are looking at your work as a way of trying to culturally learn more about us?
Mm. I understand I understand where you're coming from, Mr. Moody. I think my experience is people that have purchased work from me, I think it's because, like I said before, they see the images and the images are strong, and they actually like the actual artwork. And I have some people, a matter of fact, a couple people I went to high school with that purchased some of my limited edition Giclées, and they just really like the work. And I post different things on social media, and no matter you know what I post, they always seem to like because they just like the quality of the work. So I'm hoping that people, when they purchase the work, maybe they want to get in touch with the African American community. But I think overall, I'm hoping that they really like the work just for the sake of it being quality artwork.
So we have other people on the line, and if anybody has any questions, I like folks to jump in, because I like this to be a collaborative discussion about art and Mr. Ellis's work. So if anyone feels the need to jump in, by all means do that. But Stephen,
Mm-hmm.
you know, as a collector, as a buyer of art, you know, folks
Mm-hmm.
will say to me, well, Mr. Moody, you know, the first thing that most people say is, what's the price?
Okay. Right.
and
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
and you know, a price will either make a piece of artwork get sold or not get sold.
Mm-hmm.
So when you do your thing and put your things on canvas and etc., you have in mind a price that you wish to get for your pieces. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, that's a fair statement.
And the reason why I'm bringing it up is because we at the Moody Jones Gallery, we have a company called Art Money that assists with helping people finance without interest the
Mm.
buying works of artists. And do you mind sharing with the audience your price points for your works?
They vary. I have some smaller original graphite pieces that range between 500 to 1,000. Some of the larger pieces that are maybe like 30 by 40, depending if they're a graphite or if they are done with watercolor, tend to be between 1,000 and 2,000. And I have some things that are between 3 and 4. I do have some limited edition prints for under $100, and I have some limited edition giclées, which are a little better quality than prints, that are between $200 and $300. So that's pretty much my price points. But I do have some smaller originals that are under $1,000 though.
And just so the audience knows, Art Money is an organization that we at Moody Jones Gallery is associated with. And what they do is they will allow to finance a piece without interest, anything that's between $1,000 and $10,000. So I'm saying that to say this, that if those folks are interested in acquiring any of Mr. Ellis's pieces, we can make that happen with the financing. What happens is you pay a certain amount of money down, and then you have 10 months to pay it off without interest. That's important now, without interest. So Stephen.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Mr. Moody.
You don't have to call me Miss, but I feel like you make it sound like I'm an old man, but
all right, Adrian.
That's better. That's better.
All right.
You know, I've been collecting art for a long time, and your work is very admirable. And do you, because of what's happening now with the pandemic, and not being able to go into galleries and showcase your work, do you find that frustrating?
To a certain extent, yes, but I understand what the situation is, and I know that there are some galleries that do have, you are able to actually go into the gallery, but it has to be a very controlled type of situation. But I totally understand the circumstances. To me, I think it's still about creating more work, building up your portfolio, and keep on working. I don't think you should let the pandemic dictate, okay, I'm not going to work because we're not having any real life shows. You still have to continue to work as an artist and continue to hone your craft. So I think you still have to work no matter what. And then eventually, when you do have some shows opening up, you'll have a new body of work to go into new shows. But I think it's still about doing work, pandemic or no pandemic.
Do you see yourself changing in any respects in terms of the types of work, the body of work that you've been doing over the many years?
I haven't done any oils in a minute since last year. I've been mainly doing these pencils and these watercolors. So it's either been for me, I started out with pastels, then I started with pencils, pastels, oil paint, and then now the graphites and the fabric and the watercolors. So sometimes I kind of go backwards and go back to something I did before. But as of right now, I'm very much loving my pencil and my watercolors, and eventually I want to get back and definitely doing some oils. But those are probably like my main bread and butter things. So I'm gonna stay with that. I might mess around. I might actually try to use some Conte crayons. I think those look like they could be a lot of fun. That's something I may venture off into trying eventually.
What you say? What kind of crayons?
Conte crayon, which is like a very hard type of crayon. It's not like a pastel, but it's if you pick it up, it's very hard, very tough, but you can get some very rich qualities with it. So that's definitely something I used when I was in college when we did self-portraits, and we also worked on models. We used Conte crayons, and that's something that I definitely want to get back into doing. And that's kind of goes back into the essence of just the love of just drawing. And it's a kind of a go between paint and actually pencil. So you're using color, but you're kind of using it. Let's use a pencil, but you're working the colors in, and it's a little bit different from using pastels. But I definitely want to get into doing some of that probably eventually.
Well, I appreciate your hello.
Yes.
Does somebody have a question?
Yes, I have a question.
Okay.
Is that Carlton?
Yes, it is.
How you doing, Carlton? How are you?
I'm fine. And you, Adrian?
I'm good. I'm good. Go ahead.
Were you influenced as a very young man by Doc Thrash, who worked with charcoal and somewhat reminiscent of what you're doing now?
I'm sorry, the question was?
Were you influenced by Doc Thrash?
Not in particular. I think about it. No, I probably have to go and research that artist a little bit more.
Okay.
Well, you know, it's interesting that you asked that question, Carlton, because I saw an image the other day of Doc Trash's work, and and Stephen, you know, when we say that art is not always pretty, you know, Doc Trash would take these graphite pencil pieces and I wouldn't say they were kind of interesting, and I'm referring back to the images of the graphites that you did of Nina Simone, and how you captured, you know, Nina Simone was a complex person as far as I'm concerned, and that piece that you did that my friend bought from you was reminiscent of Doc Trash's work.
Okay.
So, and that's an interesting comparison, Carlton. Interesting comparison.
I'll have to do some homework now.
Yeah, his work is very nice.
Okay.
Interesting, a little dark, but interesting.
He was from Philadelphia too.
Okay.
So
But,
I meant too about Doc's Thrash. When you said Charles White, right away I thought of Doc's Thrash.
Okay.
And then, because that's similar, similar medium that he worked in. The interesting thing about Doc's Thrash is he was represented for many years by a gallery in Center City, who had a number of his works, and I don't know how that happened. Maybe Adrian or Carlton knows that. But it was interesting that they were really the main, carriers of his work. And so he may have been one of the few Black artists that was being represented by a quote unquote downtown gallery many years ago.
Go ahead, Rob. You finished? I didn't cut you off, did I?
No, I'm finished. That's all. I was just commenting about Docs. That's it. That's all I had.
But the work is really beautiful. And looking at Nina Simone, I'll share this anecdote with the audience. I was visiting the Hampton Museum a few years back, and one of the instructors had her class there, and they were viewing the works. And at that particular time, Nina Simone was being featured. And I spoke with my bold self to a couple of the students and asked them about Nina, and most of them were unfamiliar with her. They didn't know about To Be Young, Gifted and Black, and her friendship with Lorraine Hansberry, and all of her other outstanding works. So I thought, that's a space of 30 years, 35 years, and the memories were starting to fade away for some of our young people. So I really appreciate this Nina Simone work. She was one of my favorites.
The reason I did this one was I remember the one I sold through Moody Jones Gallery last spring. It was a graphite piece, and unfortunately, because the pandemic set in, I wasn't able to go back down there and get a proper reproduction made of it. So I said, and a lot of people are asking, "Oh, are you gonna do another Nina Simone? Are you gonna do another Nina Simone?" They kept asking. So I said, I thought of the song "For Women," and I said I always wanted to do a piece of Nina Simone, not just one, but capture the 4 women in that piece and get their expressions, and have her piano keys in the background. So that's something I always wanted to do, and that's the reason behind this piece here.
Oh, you talking
Yes,
the piece that's on the screen right now?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm remembering Four Women, and I saw her perform that, and it was so powerful that, to my knowledge, no other performing artist really attempts to do it, because she did it in a special way, both the singing as well as the drama, the acting part of it.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, it's a fabulous piece, Steve. So Mansa Musa here. Steve, I have to go. I'm so glad that I was able to get on
Thanks for coming.
work, man. You know I love your work. And
Thank
I
you.
gotta tell you, I love the development from the graphite, from that black and white, to infusing the work with color, man. I think that's like a big leap. And I know it was a leap of faith too.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
It was a leap of faith. And
Mm-hmm.
now I love the way you're using the colors and the fabric in particular. So I just
Thank you.
want to tell you, keep doing what you're doing, brother. You know I love you.
Thank you. I love you too, brother. Thank you for coming.
All right, take care, everybody.
All right.
Take care.
Take
Take
care.
care.
Thanks for
Bye,
coming.
Mansa.
So Steve, let's keep talking.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you
Could you tell me
what do you got planned going forward? What are you working on? I mean, I know you got something in your head that you're gonna put on a canvas. So can you give us a peek view of what you're thinking?
I'm thinking I got to do a Cicely Tyson.
Ooh,
So I'm thinking of Cicely Tyson.
ooh.
Yeah. So I got to do that. I'm trying to get the images in my head, and I was talking to my students about her, and I was like, I remember as a little boy watching Roots, and she was in one of the first episodes of Roots, and then just seeing over the years, I didn't realize like how many decades. She was excellent for such a long time, and just trying to capture is just so vast. You probably have to look at a series of like Cicely Tyson's because she covered so many years of excellence. So I'm still trying to wrap my mind around how I'm gonna try and encapsulate. I may have to do like 2 or 3 Cicely Tysons because she's that vast and that excellent.
did you know that she was once married to Miles Davis and helped
Oh,
him
right.
get his life together at that time?
Wow.
You didn't know that?
I did see some footage. Yeah, so I did look around and see that. And I was doing some of my research. Yes.
Yeah, that would be interesting. I mean, it's important, I think, in your work that, because you're a teacher and you're motivated as being a teacher, that you teach and make sure that we acknowledge our history. And because there's a lot of folks that are like 20 years old who don't know about the significance of certain people culturally and their importance to us. So
Right.
it's important that some people say, why would I buy a picture of a Cicely Tyson, for example, or a John Lewis, because it's a picture, but it's important that you continue to be inspired that way, because we need to keep people engaged and people so they understand our history.
Right.
Because it's so forgotten.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
It is so forgotten.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna share something else, something I did a couple years ago. I'm gonna share this other one here. So
Who's that? Angela Davis?
Angela Davis. Yeah, this is Angela. And again, this was one of the earlier oil paint slash collage pieces. So inside of all the areas where you have the large Afro area, you'll have different images of her and her, with her activism, and different parts where she is speaking. And so I try to capture. I just want to really, strong. As we see a lot of reds and oranges, warm colors. And try to capture her strength and her leadership in this piece.
That's a nice piece. Can you share with us
Yes.
other images that you?
Yeah, it is.
Yes. Okay.
You know,
Excuse
what's
me.
interesting about the pieces is trying to
Mhm.
figure out how to hang it sometimes, you know.
Right.
I personally, I know when we had your show, I just set pieces on the floor.
Yes. That was it.
And,
That's another way to put it up. Yeah.
correct. And
Mhm.
people don't realize that people will say, well, why is the art on the floor? I said, well, that's how you display it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Let me here and find something else. And let's come back. This is actually the second one of the mahogany fire pieces, the male version. And this,
That's a very strong piece there too.
thank you. Whoops, make this larger. So this is mahogany fire flame warriors, and so I wanted to have something to capture strong Black men in the community. So these could be fathers, brothers, uncles, teachers, firefighters, people in the community that we see every day, custodial workers, people that we see every day, maybe frontline workers that are, fighting and making sure people keep their lives in this coronavirus time. So I wanted to focus on regular everyday people. These are people that pillars of the community. So that's what the reason behind this piece right here. And also wanted to try to do something a little bit different, like a monster just said before. And I said, let me try putting some tribal markings on top of the graphite and see how that turns out. So I was pleased with that. And I was like, it didn't out away from the graphite, but it added a little bit of color and it's something a little bit different. So I kind of took a chance with doing that.
Is there fabric in this piece?
Yes, there is. You look around the braid, the dreadlocks, the braids right here, cornrows are fabric and watercolor combined, and here the flames going up are fabric with paint on top of them as well.
Hmm.
So the fabric goes down first, and then the watercolor goes on top of it.
Interesting.
I've noticed that in several of your works, you like to create a tension, or maybe I should just simply say a stark contrast between the facial figures and the background. Is that something that you are intending to do, or is that just more how I perceive it?
No, actually, I'm intending to do that because so facial features you'll see like this, the line quality in the graphite is one thing, and then this very dark grays here, and then juxtaposed that you have these very bright golds and yellows behind it that
Yes,
create the
yes.
contrast. Yes, that's done on purpose. Yes, that's definitely done on purpose.
Yeah.
Any other images you want to share with us?
Sure. Give me 1 second here. Matter of fact, I have a. Let me go to something. This is 1 second. I'm trying to find it here. Give me 1 second.
Tell me about the jacket you got. I just had to ask that question. I'm sorry.
All right, I'm gonna come back. Let me come back. I knew that was gonna come eventually.
I know it's your birthday, and by the way, happy birthday.
Thank you. I'm gonna come back. So the jacket. So I have a a designer actually. The gentleman, I get the fabric. Usually, I get them in the mail. I might get them online from Etsy, or I might go to Halsey Fabrics downtown Newark. And I have a gentleman who at my school, Ms. Jones, who is a tremendous Tiana Jones is a tremendous both plays teacher and coach of the school. She's like, oh, Mr. I said I wanted to get a duster made. And she said, oh, I got somebody for you. Gentleman's name is Mamadou from Burkina Faso. And he had a shop originally in Newark. And now he's on Central and East Orange. So that's my go-to guy, Mamadou. And he has, I draw it out for him and tell him how I want him to do it. He'll make a little sketch. And then he creates them for me. I have about 10 or 12 of these. So
That's
whenever
nice.
I go to a show, thank you. So he does all. At first, I started out with the single colors, and I went to double color. Two different colors. This was made from 3 different fabrics. So um, this is a Stephen Ellis slash Mamadou collaboration. So that's what this is.
I like it. I like it.
So this is James Baldwin, right?
James Baldwin. Yes, this was done this past summer during the middle of the. Thank you, Olive. Olive. Thank you. This is done this past summer in the middle of all the upheaving and the strife we had going on with all of the marches and everything. So this is called "What Would Jimmy Say?" And I have some quotes in here, and also it's kind of like James Baldwin. And then in the front of it, you'll find all the things that have gone on over the past, couple of years. That Trayvon Martin, and we see Ahmaud Marbury, and then I'm sorry, Arbery. I'm sorry.
Smith.
Yeah, and then we have the Olympics, gentlemen putting their hands up in protest. Dr. King. So it's kind of a throwback, and also current times now. So what would he say about the things that are going on in the country now? How we're being treated as a Black people. So
Very nice.
What would Jimmy say? Thank you.
That's a very nice piece. This is the first time I've seen this one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, this is one of the newer pieces. Yes. And also you see I'm sorry, go ahead.
It's interesting the different variations of the faces of James Baldwin. And if you know much about James Baldwin, which I do, you can see that thoughtfulness about him and that puzzlement about him in those faces. That's a great piece right there.
Thank you.
Yes.
I actually not just try to study his facial features, but I also went onto YouTube and try to find some videos and his facial features in his interviews. A lot of times with especially Dick Cavett, and sometimes he'd just be smoking in the middle of his interview, and the things he would say, he would just say them and not even no filter or anything. And he would just speak his mind. That's what I loved about him. And I said, how can I capture that in a piece? He'll just come out and say whatever's on his mind. He doesn't care what people say. He's just going to say, if you don't like it, that's too bad. So I think we need more but James Baldwins now in the world, I think.
Yeah, that's true. We do.
There is one I want to show. This is actually a world premiere, if I can get it. No, I'm trying to find. I'll get it for you 1 second. Here it is. Okay, let me come back. And this is a first time I'm displaying this. So this is the world premiere of this piece called Just Like Music. I need a drum roll or something. Maybe that's what I need.
I give it to you. You hear that?
Okay. This was inspired by the Marvin Gaye song Just Like Music. So it's people listening to their headphones and just enjoying their music. And here we have fabric as well. But if you notice, the fabric is also, this is a classical type of music fabric. You see a violin, French horn, and the music notes are here. Kind of a classical piece of music. Over here, it's also in a shirt. You see a guitar over here. And also they incorporated the notes and the sheet music in the headphones. So, and even in the clouds, you'll see music notes in the clouds. And you don't know what music they're listening to. Maybe they're listening to Marvin Gaye. Maybe they're listening to Beethoven, Bach. Maybe listening to gospel music, whatever they're like listening to. Everybody's in their own world. They're in their own zone, and they just have their music going, and they're just enjoying themselves, walking down the street. And they could be walking down someplace, maybe in Philly. Maybe they're walking down the street in Manhattan, downtown Newark, Chicago, and they're listening to the music and just enjoying maybe a nice summer day.
How big is that?
I think this one is, I want to say 30 by 40, thereabouts, somewhere around there.
Okay.
It's on a very heavy watercolor paper. And when I was doing it, that song kept coming in my mind. And I love Marvin Gaye's music. And
Well, let me ask you this quick. When you're painting, are you grooving, so to speak? You got the music going, or is it quiet around you, and you're just doing whatever you think is best for that picture that you're putting on the canvas?
It varies. Sometimes I like to have my music playing. Definitely when in my classroom, I'm playing my music when the students are doing their work. Sometimes I'm working right along with them. Maybe I'm doing a mural or something like that on paper and have my music playing. So definitely music is definitely a big part of when I do my work. Sometimes though I'm working in the middle of the night and I might have my headphones in, and sometimes I don't. I just like the silence, the quiet, and I focus a little better. But sometimes I have to have my tunes, and it might be one artist I might focus on. Maybe it's a Stevie Wonder night, maybe it's a Marvin Gaye night, maybe it's a Mary J. Blige night, maybe it might be Grover Washington. So anything like that, I can just get into a groove and get into a zone. Then I'm just doing my thing.
Do you work from a sketchbook?
Sometimes I do preliminary sketches first, and I might draw it out first, see how it wants a kind of game plan. Something I always and I always try to encourage my students to do. And then from there, it may not be a detailed sketch, depends on what I want to do. Then I'll go to the main area I'm going to work, the whether it's going to be canvas, whether it's going to be wood. But I definitely try to do some type of preliminary drawings beforehand.
How long did it take you to do this piece? It's a pretty large piece.
And I want to piggyback on that because, it also goes to the issue of how you price your pieces, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Am I right?
Yeah, it's true. Yes,
all right,
indeed.
So speak to that.
Something like this took a while. It took me I started it back in November, then I put it down for a while, and then I came back to it. Probably I would say a couple weeks ago, I came back to it. When I put it down, I did have this image. I had all the pencil stuff pretty much finished almost. I had to fine tune some of the pencils, but I would say if I worked on this nonstop, probably take me a couple weeks, 2.5 weeks, maybe 3. But then again, I'm working on it after I finish teaching, after I finish with my laptop and my grade book, and then I go into probably maybe an hour here, 2 hours there. On the weekends, I put a little more time into it. But something like this, if I work on it nonstop, probably 2.5, 3 weeks.
Look how he did the neck of the figure on my far right with the music notation. I like that.
Oh, right here?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because I wanted to, she might be listening to Beethoven or Bach, which my sister is on the call. She'll tell you we got to listen to classical music every Saturday. If we finish cleaning the house, that was a Saturday staple. We listened to Bach, Beethoven, Schubert, Chopin. That was what we listened to in the house. So that was as part of my upbringing. We listened to classical music. Parents wanted around us and have exposed to many different things.
I used to listen to Frank Sinatra.
Okay, see?
And I knew every Frank Sinatra song you could think about.
So Stephen,
I remember, Adrian, what was the guy's name who had his own show here back in the day who featured Frank Sinatra? Mark somebody, I can't.
Sid Mark.
Sid Mark, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Stephen, I wanted to comment. I had that same experience, although ours was Sunday morning.
Okay.
Music, and my mother played it as loud as the stereo would go.
We all had that common experience too. I inherited that from my parents, my mother, who was a pianist. And I remember she had this bust of Chopin on the piano, and she used to correct me as to the correct pronunciation. Told me how to pronounce his name.
I'm really feeling this piece, Stephen. You may have to send this one down to the gallery so we can.
Okay.
This piece is very, very nice.
It is.
Thank you, Carlton. Thank you, Adrian.
I mean, it's a nice piece.
Thank you.
Very nice.
Thank you.
So, anybody else got any questions? I mean, I know there's folks on this Zoom call that may have something they want to ask the artist about. I know Matrice. Matrice, you're there, aren't you? Matrice? Oh, she left? She was there.
Yeah.
Yeah, won't you? I see. She said, I'm here.
Yeah. She just has to push Alt A and she'll be able to talk to us. Alt A.
Maybe she doesn't. So I must apologize because we first started this virtual show. We had some technical difficulty, but now that we've gotten past all that, it has turned out to be quite interesting and very thoughtful.
Yes.
So Stephen.
Yes.
So how would you like to comment about the importance of your work and the importance of other works of people of color like yourself for the audience, so that we make sure that we make your work and other works of people of color part of our collection?
I believe that artists, of color, we have all of us have, I think, a very unique story to tell from our culture. I know in looking at many artists' work of color, there's certain things that all of us grew up with, whether we're from the islands, whether we're from different parts of the world, but there's a common thread. You'll see family is a very strong part of a lot of the pieces that I see. Starting to see a lot more pieces dealing with positive images of Black women and womanhood coming together. And I think we need to see, and I think collectors need to make sure they purchase pieces of that nature that show Black people in a very positive light, enjoying one another's company and building together. Especially, I love the family pieces that a lot of artists do with, mother, father, and children together. I think those are very positive images, and I think we need to collectors really need to explore that. There's a lot of positive images you can find in African American art, definitely.
Now, hello?
Yes.
Does somebody have a question?
Oh.
Well, we're getting to that point where it's 7:30 and it's about time for us to close this wonderful show that we just had with the artist Stephen B. Ellis. Stephen, I want to thank you. We really appreciate you giving us the time today to share with the audience who you are and what you're all about and what's behind your work, and we thank you for that. And to those who are part of this virtual show, if you have any interest in purchasing any of Stephen B. Ellis's work, you can always reach out to Moody Jones Gallery. Our email address is moodyjonesgallery@gmail.com. Our phone number is 215-582-4496. We are on Instagram, Facebook, all those things that we now are accustomed to using because of the circumstance that we're presently in. And all you got to do is reach out. Stephen, we again appreciate you. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you.
I don't know what you're going to do for your birthday. But
thank you.
Birthday.
Thank you.
Happy birthday.
Was that Matrice?
Well, yes.
Oh, how you doing? So we're going to end this.
Thanks again for having me, Adrian. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Robin, for having me.
Thank you. Have a good day. Thank
All
you,
right,
everyone.
thanks again.
Good night,
Thank you for
everyone.
coming.
Good
Thank
night.
Thank you.
you. It was beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you, Olive.